Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another session of I.N.Healing Sundays. My name is Nelly Nkosi. I will be your host for today. Just to begin the session, I just wanted us to center ourselves and invite our ancestors. And so I would like us to begin with the breathing meditation. So I would like us to be sit in a comfortable position, whether you're standing or you're sitting down. It really doesn't matter as long as you feel comfortable in the space that you find yourself in. And then I want you to relax your shoulders. And then we're going to take 3 deep breaths in to invite our people into the space and just to make sure that everything that we do is guided by them and we don't operate from a place of ego. Um, I would like us to take a deep breath in, hold it, and think of all the negativity that is holding you back from consuming new information, all the turmoil that it may be currently going on in your life or in your space, and then release it. We follow the same process again. You take a deep breath in, think of all the stuff that is holding you back and preventing you from learning new things and really doing the work in terms of your progression, and then release it. Now, on the last breath, I want us to think of all the things that we seek to achieve. Take it all in. Hold it in and let it flow through your body. And then you release the negativity. I'm going to ask us to do the, the pledge. The pledge is meant to guide us and remind us why we are here. It serves as a reminder of why we are here and just really to make sure that we respect one another during this time. For those who have muted their mics, I'm going to ask you to unmute your mic. I would like us to recite this together. So I'm going to say a line, and then I would like everybody to just repeat after me. So the Healer's Pledge, or our code of conduct during this session. Singabelaphi, we are healers.
Singabelaphi, we are healers.
We are healers.
We owe our gifts to nature, our ancestors, and our Creator.
We
All
owe
our
our
gifts
nature,
to
nature,
our
ancestors, and our
and
creator.
our
creators.
creators.
We live by the principles of Ma'at, Unhu, and Ubuntu.
We
We
live
live by the
by
principles of
the
Ma'at,
principles of
Un,
Unu, and Ubuntu.
We will approach each other with respect, honesty, and compassion.
We will
we will
approach each
approach
other
each other with respect,
With
honesty,
with
and compassion.
honesty
and
and
compassion.
compassion.
We will offer our advice, prescription, and ideas with trust.
We will offer
We
our
will
advice,
offer advice,
prescriptions,
prescriptions,
and ideas
and
with
ideas
trust.
of trust.
We will neither insult, dishonor, nor abuse one another.
We
We
will
will
neither
neither insult, dishonor, nor abuse one
Dishonor
another.
or abuse one another.
We will share, practice, promote, and raise awareness about natural healing, healthy lifestyles, and well being.
We
We
will
will
share
share
principles and raise awareness
raise
of
awareness
magical healing,
into
healthy lifestyles, and well-being.
lifestyle and well-being.
We will refrain from posting negative information.
We will
We will
refrain from
refrain
posting
from
negative
posting
information.
negative information.
We will refrain from posting irrelevant information and falsehoods.
We will
we will
We
refrain
will
from
refrain
posting
from
irrelevant
posting
information and
irrelevant
falsehoods.
information and falsehood.
Gabelaphi, we are healers.
Singabela
Singabela.
happy, we are
We are
healers.
healers.
Our gifts are a gift to humanity and nature.
Our
Our gift
gifts
Our
are
gifts
gifts
are
to
a gift to
humanity and
humanity
nature.
and nature.
We will give back to nature what it has abundantly given to us.
We
we
will
will
We
give
will
back
give
give
to
to
back
nature
to
nature
nature
what it has so
what it
abundantly
has
given to us.
abundantly given us.
Just to make sure that we are all in the same page, I will recite the medical disclaimer so that nobody sues us at the end of the session. The information that we provide is educational information and may only be used for that purpose only and cannot be construed as medical advice. The information is not intended to replace medical advice or treatment offered by healthcare professionals. With that being said, we have a very exciting session today. We have a special guest, Arantza. So I'll just give you a bit of a background on who Arantza is. So Arantza was born in Madrid and has lived in South Africa for 18 years, and this is where the gates of consciousness and herbalism opened through Rasta. She has worked with herbs markets shops, holistic and wellness events in Cape Town and around the coast, Khoisan meditation and Sankwaga healing, co-owned by Craig. She has studied phytotherapy, which is herbal remedies, and iridology in Valencia School of Alternative Therapies in Spain after returning from Mzansi in 2018. She is the CEO of Rooster Imphepho, a company which specializes in tailor-made hiking programs in Southern Africa. So she wrote a very beautiful piece, and I just wanted to share with you guys. And she will also recite in her native tongue, but I do not want to butcher. I do not want to butcher it. So the piece goes like this: I am carob, a tree. I am a carob tree woman. I am an olive tree, rue, white horehound, mullein, and rosemary woman. I am woman made of earth, tears, and a throbbing womb. I am a newborn, the sister and the mother. I am the loyal friend, partner, and lover. I am sap that flows in all that is green. I am womb man of herbs. With that being said, Arantza.
Greetings. Thank you for your beautiful introduction. Hold on a second. Something is here. As I was saying, thank you for your beautiful introduction. And I feel blessed and honored to be here. And today we're gonna share how I personally prepare maceration oils. And I will recite my verse, my poem in my language, maybe when we finish, before I say I go, if you feel ready with that.
Can you please recite? Because I know you wrote it in Spanish. The piece that you just wrote. I just wanted you to recite the piece that you wrote in your native tongue.
Okay, I will do it now. Soy mujer algarrobo, soy mujer olivo, mujer ruda, gordolobo, romero. Soy mujer hecha de tierra, de llanto y de vientre que palpita. I will continue. I will do it maybe at the end of the session. That's what I was trying to tell you, because I feel a bit overwhelmed now. So I will do it when I finish with the preparation, if you give me the chance.
Okay. No problem. So what I wanted to find out before we get into the business of the herbs is that for this season, we are celebrating Neptit, you know? And what I wanted to find out for the theme is death and rebirth. And when it comes to herbs and preparation, what does that mean for you as an individual?
Sorry, repeat again your question.
So I said, so for this season, we are celebrating Neptet, symbolized by death and rebirth, the Phoenix Rising. Hence, we have the Benu bed as part of our poster. You know, bringing death and something being brought anew. When it relates to herbs and the preparation methods, just in your own words, what comes through your mind? You know, when we say that.
So when we were talking about doing this session and about the season that we are entering tomorrow, no? Or in 2 days' time.
Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah. So I thought about Imphepho straight away, because Imphepho, El Criso, is a herb that it has been used and recorded through history, through ancient times, and always related to the rites of death, to the connection with the spirits and the guides. So it's a herb that is a very mystic herb in all levels, in your spiritual, in your physical, and in your vibrational body. No?
Mm-hmm.
So, and as the phoenix, you know that it dies and it relives itself. I relate it as well to the capacity of nature and our bodies to regenerate, to heal itself, you know. I was reading last night about the emuntories, which is the ways the body has to detox, to clean itself. Your kidney, your skin, your lungs, your bladder, you know, your lymphatic system, you know, flow. So there is quite a few, and so the power of regeneration of the body and nature on its own. Huh? So yeah, so when I now work with the herbs, that's what we keep focused and in mind, to help the body to get to that stage of self-healing, of you know, you know, yeah.
So I wanted us to get into the herb, the process that we're gonna be following today. I know we said that today we will be for this session we will be discussing herb preparation, focusing on oils. So I just wanted you to take us through some of the different types of oil preparation methods that are currently there, and and which ones we will be discussing today.
So in the different ways of extracting the goodness from plants, we're going to use the oil, which is in itself not a very strong solvent to extract how you say, the active ingredients that we are looking for the healing properties. But with the help of techniques of a low heat, as time for maceration, and then there is more elaborated ways that it involve another different solvents, like for example alcohol, the alcohol that we use to clean the cuts and things, 95 or 90 degrees. How you say it?
90 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, for the alcohol, you know, like the strength of the alcohol.
Oh,
But
the strength.
a method that is more elaborated, and even myself, I don't practice it. So we're not gonna just mention it for now. So we're gonna today practice two ways of elaborating oils, medicinal or therapeutic oils, because for we're gonna use the worm using a very mild heat, and the one that is used in cold extraction. So the warm extraction and the cold extraction. Yeah. So for
So in essence, the fundamental difference between the cold and the hot extraction, what would that be to somebody who is not aware? What would be the fundamental the difference?
So the warm extraction is something that you do quicker as the cold extraction. But as well, you need to keep in mind that as to keep the properties, the components, the compounds, the components of the healing properties, the heat, it mustn't be strong. You must keep it in between 50 and 60 degrees. Up to 70 degrees, the properties of the plant, the compounds, they won't get damaged. But up to 65 degrees, the oil that you're gonna be using is gonna start to deteriorate. It's gonna be easier to get rancid, the oil. So the ideal is to do it in a very slow heat that you will never reach the boiling stage, because the boiling stage, it reaches to 100 degrees. So you want to be 50, 60, maximum 70, and it depends on what oil you are using. I personally, when I use the warm technique, I do it with the coconut oil. That's what we're going to be using today, because coconut oil can handle very high heat, and it doesn't get damaged. That's why they say it's very good for cooking. I don't use it for cooking personally. I don't personally like, but it's for the warm. It's nice. It's a nice oil. The olive oil as well would be good, because as well it can handle high temperature. But for example, sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, other vegetables, oils, they don't handle heat. So they are good as like in raw, you know, more in raw. So we're gonna be using today, because for extractions in oil in the ancient times, in the old times, even it used to be made with animal fat, with the fat that they would get. Here in the Mediterranean, because they have the olive oil, I guess they use the olive oil for a long time. We're gonna be using olive oil for cold extraction, but you can use it for warm extraction as well. I'm gonna use coconut oil and shea butter. We're gonna be making an extraction. This is what I use for like my daily, after I shower, my daily oily moisturizer thing. That's why I use karité. I use shea butter, because shea butter, it moisturizes and it helps your body to be moisturized. While the coconut is not such a strong moisturized oil, yeah? So we're gonna be using these two ones for the thing that we're gonna be doing today.
Okay.
And then we're gonna be doing it with Imphepho. Imphepho. Helichrysum is an ancient, like I was saying, it's an ancient plant. For me, Helichrysum, Imphepho, and Puhu was the very first two herbs that I was, you know, that's how I got introduced into the herbal world, no, into the herbal reality and way of life, I would say as well, if you really take it now. So we're gonna be using, this is the Imphepho that it grows in the Mediterranean, yeah? Because Imphepho grows in the Mediterranean, and I think it goes all the way down to South Africa. today,
this strain of,
yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
apologies. I was just saying, I was just about to highlight to people that the Imphepho strain that she is using is called Helichrysum italia. It grows in the Mediterranean. Here we have Helichrysum. I can't remember the one that we covered now, but our Imphepho is slightly different from the one that she's using, but they all come from the same family, which is the Helichrysum family, which is the sunflower family. And for more details in terms of the different strains, you can watch one of our videos where we broke down Imphepho in the past on our YouTube channel. You can continue, Arantza. Please explain the tool that you're using.
So this is as you said, the Helichrysum italicum, and then you've got, there is a lot of types of Helichrysum, yeah? But the ones that in South Africa you use mostly for medicinal, especially in the Western Cape, is the Helichrysum odorissima. This is Latin names. Odorissima refers to the smell, like a strong smell, aromatic, you know? Mm. Ancient herb, we're gonna do like a very high strength. I'm gonna do the potency for this maceration. Is gonna be a strong, yeah. The potency, yeah. This is the liquid.
I just wanted to highlight, while you're busy doing that, I wanted to show people in terms of the potency, what you mean when we say potencies, because there's herbs, when you do preparation methods, there's various potencies that a herb can reach. So we've got, so these types of levels, these are not the only levels, but these are just to give you an example of what we're actually referring to. And Arantza can just briefly take us through in terms of the potency, in terms of what she means.
Yeah, you can see this is an equivalence of the grams of the dry plant with a liter of the solvent, of the oil that you're going to be using. We're not going to be working with such a big quantities as a liter. We're going to be doing like 250. So, you know, I did like a 3 low thinny. I find out what is my equivalence. I will show you. And this is for like an average, okay? But you can see when you want a very strong solution, you use a bigger, this is for you actually to understand, even when you see products and when you see recipes and when you read books, so you can understand more or less when they tell you like a potency, and they use a lot the 1:2.2 or the 1:2.5, so you can more or less know that it's the relation of the 1 liter. In this case, I did it in grams and liters. Other people, maybe they do it in ounces and other type of measurements. But anyway, when you work with plants that are strong, you will use a very low, that can be poison, you know, you will use a very low potency. And as well, it depends. Mira, look, in this, what we're gonna do today is an everyday use. I wouldn't not call it medicinal, but I will call it therapeutic. In a way, you will still get the properties. But if you really want to do like a proper medicinal oil, your time of making it is much longer. Sometimes you do it for 8-12 hours in a very low heat, you see. In this way, I'm gonna do it is just good enough. I had a very good experiences with Imphepho. Imphepho is such a good plant, you know. And the last property that I found out is the power of unblockage, congestion, blood that is congested, because it helps for the circulation of arterial, which is are the smaller veins that are out there in your body, you see. So it's a very powerful plant for your skin, it has a very high vibrational. So actually it helps as well. And that's why it's used for your connection with the other world, because it helps as well to help you to flow that energy of self-healing, that maybe emotional scars, emotional dramas, they left like a blockage in your own power of self-healing, or on blockage of that pain that you might have for emotional, you see, experiences. So it's, yeah. because it's an everyday and we're gonna do it in a short time, I make it a strong potency, okay? I'm gonna make it a strong. And because it's not gonna be boiling or in the heat for a very long time. So yeah, what we're gonna be using is a scale to scale because we're gonna do the potency, which is for 1 liter, the strong is for 1 liter of the oil, you use 250 grams of the oil that you're gonna be, of the plant, sorry, of the dry plant. So we're gonna be using 250 mils of coconut oil, and we're gonna be using 125 of shea butter. So that will give us, for the quantity of the oil, we're gonna have to do 65 grams of the plant, and for the quantity, the 125 mils of karité, of shea butter, we're gonna be using 35 grams, okay? So yeah, we're gonna use a scale to measure, just a moment, to measure the thing.
While Arantza is still there, what I wanted to highlight is that it's very important that when you're using oil, sometimes you have to make sure that your ingredients are super dry. You don't want them to have any liquids within them because they might start the fermentation process. So you have to be very careful when you're doing the oil preparation method that your herbs are actually dry.
Exactly, Sister Nelly. Because you know, oil and water doesn't go together. So it's preferable, it's always better to use dry material. But sometimes if you use fresh material, sometimes with flowers, you will use fresh material. For example, with Ipericum flower, St. John's wort, that's a very nice flower as well. It makes a very nice oil. And you use the fresh flower. But with other herbs, you don't want to use the fresh because then it's going to be easy to get mold. It's going to mostly get mold because of the water and the fermentation. But I think, you know, sometimes you read recipes, or I see here in Spain, a lot of people would do rosemary oil with the fresh rosemary, and then they will put it in the sun. So it gets heat, it gets the warmth. But I suggest you don't put it straight away to the sun. You cover the thinny, so with a material or something that it doesn't get the light straight, because that it will damage the oil. It will make it rancid. But you get the warmth, which is like helpful to help extract the active ingredients. So I'm gonna measure. Yeah.
While you're measuring, would the color of the bottle make a difference in terms of restricting the sun rays?
This is later on when you want to storage the oil. You have choices. I personally, if I don't have other choice than to use a transparent glass, I will make sure this oil is stored in completely darkness. I put it inside a cabinet where I put a lot of oils.
Okay.
Or if I can use, like I have then another thingy where I have the oils and it's open. So I use these opacos, these glasses that are dark, so for the sunlight. Or you find blue ones, you know, but I use these ones. I've been buying these ones lately. They're a little bit expensive, but I buy one by one now and then when I can, you know. So yeah, we're gonna be doing them 65 grams. $65 grams is quite it's gonna be a lot of volume, more than what I thought actually. I normally, if I'm honest, I've been very strict to now because of the measurements. But I do, when I do it for myself, I do by heart. You know what I mean? You know, actually, when I learned with the herbs, it was in South Africa. It was the way you people do it. So it's only now, lately, no, that a lot of scientifically and all of that. But for me, that I was coming to the more scientific way of thinking, you know. Sometimes it was, this is 50. Oh, it's gonna be a lot of herb. You know what? I give you the numbers, but I'm gonna now do it like I do it because that's what I want to show you, and that's what I'm ready for. So I'm not gonna do such a big quantity. I'm gonna even make it strong because I will need a big pot. I'm not ready for it. So I'm gonna do what I normally do. And then we're gonna find out what is the measurement that I do, which I don't really know because I do it here. I do it in a small pots, you know. I use the 250 oil. And then this is for the, we're gonna use the warm. And this is the method, Melis bath, Baño Maria. So this is a way, this is boiling water here. I'm gonna put the oil and the herbs here. And then it's gonna boil slowly, slowly, slowly the water. And it's gonna make the warm here, but it's never gonna get too hot, you see? So you won't damage the thing. And then we're gonna melt it, the oil with the herbs, and then we're gonna cook it for as long as we can. And then we're gonna drain it and store it. I make this and it lasts me for a month, maybe sometimes less. My daughter and I use it, you know? So I make it used frequently.
Mm. Just to remind everybody, while Arantza is still preparing, is that when you're trying to measure, some of us, we don't have thermometers in our kitchens. Just make sure that the oil does not boil. If it's boiling, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. With this way that we're gonna be making it, the Melis bath is very rare that the thing boils. That means that you finish your water and then it's very strange that it happens. But as you say, no, because then it's too high the temperature and you kill all the properties, you see?
Mm.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start by melting the oil, and then we put the herbs. That is gonna be easier. The oil will be melt quick, you know, and
that's the coconut.
Oil is a very nice. Coconut oil is very nice and very useful for a lot of things, isn't it?
Mm.
What I found, my daughter's father, what he always does is like water is like mouth rinsing with the oil. You have your coconut oil in your mouth for some time, in milk, and you rinse, and that cleans all your teeth in between, all the bacteria. It's very good. Coconut oil used to be an affordable oil, but it's not anymore. I normally when I do things for medicine, for healing, I try to use always the best quality, like organic, you know. I try always.
So besides the current tools, so Arantza is using like the normal cooking pot as well as a bowl, and it has inserted the bowl inside the cooking pot, with the cooking pot containing water. Another tool that you can use, which is available if you're able to find it, is a double boiler pot. It's designed with the same theory, but if you have the resources to be able to buy that, you can buy it, and in essence you follow the same theory that Arantza just provided us, making sure that the water is there as well as above. So the double boiler pot has two sections, the water section at the bottom, and then the oil section at the top. So for those who are also interested, there are various other pots that you can use that have been designed in modern times. The double boiler pot is very old in terms of its design, but it's quite as effective. But if you don't have the double boiler pot, you can do exactly what Arantza is doing.
Yeah, always find an alternative,
We
as you
make it work.
can, and then you can grow from the very beginning and, rutical way. I find out now there is a machine that they sell. They call it the magical butter machine. And it's to extract all kinds of oils, but you can manage to calculate the exact temperature, and it goes up to 250 degrees. So it's a very handy, expensive machine, but up until the day that I can get there, the old ways. So we're gonna put this in the pot that I'm gonna put it in the pot as I show you, and then we're gonna go and move, or you want us to?
Yes, please, we can move to the kitchen.
I'm gonna go and come back. I'm just gonna put it in the pot I show you in a very low temperature. The water will boil and it will melt. And then we go to the kitchen and put the herbs, and
Sorry. So while we wait for Arantza to come back, one of the things that I wanted us to highlight is the fact that we must make sure that our bottles are clean and do not have water once we are done preparing our herbs. Before you put the herbs in, it's all fair and well to follow the correct process, but when it comes to bottling, if you're not bottling your herbs properly, you will damage your herbs. But Arantza will get into the details of that when she's done preparing the herb. But just make sure that it's clean, there is no residues. Ideally, you would want to use glass, as plastic tends to have it does tend to release a bit of residue, and it also has PFA, which is a cancer-causing chemical. But yeah, ideally you would want to use glass. And she's just explained a bit earlier on in terms of the color of the glass and the impacts thereof. If you want to expose your herb to the sun, there are some herbs that you do not want to expose directly to the sun, and you would want to cover them, or you would like to use a stained glass like the one that she just showed us a bit earlier. And in terms of storage, some herbs require us to put them in dark spaces because they need to mature. Do we have any questions so far? So the herbs that she's currently using, it's Helichrysum again, and she's preparing a topical ointment. So for ingestion, you must be very careful in terms of which herbs that you like, which oil you use as a base. Most oils that we use for preparation, you can ingest them, but yeah, for purposes of now, she's making a topical oil.
You mentioned something that is nice, like you can use oils that you can eat, or you can use oils that you don't eat. I normally like to use oils that I can eat. So I work with coconut, I work with sunflower oil. Is one of my latest acquisition, sunflower oil, you find it in a lot of cosmetics, and but the botanical name is beautiful. It's Elianthus annus or something like that. It's a nice name, and it contains a lot of vitamin E, which is a natural conservant, and it helps a lot your body to keep the humidity of your body as well. So it's nice. I'm waiting some of the herbs. I have here 30 grams I'm gonna use. Yeah? Just
please do remember that the process says 65. So when you try this recipe, please use 65 grams. So she's using.
And then you will use bigger containers. I just wasn't ready because, yeah. I want to be very much on the guidelines of the books, you know. And you know, as I tell you, I learned from no books. And in that time, I used to think, oh, the books. And in that time, I would look myself, I would research from books. That's why I will use a lot. And I came with a lot of interesting websites and information from South African herbs, Southern African herbs, but especially South African herbs from this book, you know, which the writers are like university teachers from the Western Cape University, and you know, they were the first ones, like you know, document, not first ones, but like anyway, I use those books a lot. So I learned from your way, and still I miss that scientific. Maybe I need that to really feel confident, you see. But then later with the years, when I came to Spain and I went to study, just to have the piece of paper. And for me as well to learn about the herbs in here, because I'm familiar with the herbs in South Africa. For the last 2 years is that I've been, 2-3 years is that I've been like learning and getting in touch with the mountains here, with the herbs, with, you know, and even to learn, because I believe that wherever you go, they will grow whatever you need for your healing, for your food, you see, and the things that you need for surviving in that specific place. So, you know, so when you are in South Africa, I like to use the herbs from there. I'm here, I need to know the herbs from here and use them. And you know, a lot of herbs here, I found them because I know the South African herbs and maybe the smell. The Imphepho, I found the Imphepho many years ago after my first trip to South Africa, or second trip. And I was going to the beach, you know, going down a cliff, and then the smell of the Imphepho. And I never knew anything that Imphepho grows, that Il grows there in our coast. So then as well, you've got the wild dacha, Leonoris leonotus. So we have a herb here, mullein, that is the sister. It has the same properties, the same active ingredients, not all of them, but the main ones. So, and as well, I find out that because I was in the mountain and I saw the herb, they go, wow, look, this herb, the flower, it's like, it reminds me, it attracts me to it. And then I took it and then I investigated, I researched this herb, and look, this herb, it has the same active ingredient. So, you know, yeah, herbs are mystic, you see. And what is very important that you can know by books a lot of things, but it's not an intellectual knowledge that you really need to develop, because intellectual knowledge without, you know, the use of this, without the use of this, it won't take you too far, you see. But if you use this and then you use the help of this to, you know, to move on, to grow, then you're going to be more guided, you see. But let's go back here.
So Nwanda, I just wanted to confirm, I think the book that you just showed is Medicinal Herbs of South Africa, written by the University of Western Cape.
Yeah.
Published actually through Medicinal Plants of South Africa.
But you see, this guy got the knowledge from the people, from going to the people in the markets, and go, you know, from the knowledge of the people, you see. But now they are in the university, and they use a branch of the university then to investigate everything that the people says, and they investigate in the science way. Oh, but yeah, it's true, this thing they say, because we must know something. In science, we know very little really about plants. We know a few active ingredients and the effects and the properties that they have, you see? But we don't really, or science doesn't really know how the combination of different plants and, you know, so, but those things were very, you know, so we need to be very aware of the limitations of science, you see? So I'm gonna let me check how is the oil and we go back there.
So what Arantza is trying to say is that when you look at science only focuses on the active ingredients, and it doesn't really look at the spiritual aspects of plants. The ingredient currently now that she's using is evidence of that. Imphepho is used to divine, and it's also now the oil that she's using, that she's currently preparing, will help you in terms of blood circulation, as she mentioned earlier. And if you combine it with a bit of cayenne pepper, as she will show a bit later on, that it's very good in terms of as a painkiller and as well as a blood circulator.
So a very summarized of the properties of Imphepho that I've got a very summarized thing here. It has the power to purify blood. It has anti-congestive, as I say, power of the blood, anti-congestion of the blood. So it's helpful for thrombosis. It's helpful for when you knock yourself and then you get the blue mark here. You put this oil that you're going to be doing today, that we are doing today. Then you put this thing, for
bruises.
Yeah, the Imphepho. You see what we're going to be doing today. So it improved your arterial circulation, flood flow, the arterial, which is the outer smaller veins. It's a bacteriostatic, which means it stops the bacteria to develop. So that's why it was used in the ancient times for preparations, when they would use for covering the dead bodies. Maybe even the Egyptians for mummification, it was one of the ingredients because it has that power of the smell of the putrefaction. It takes away because it stops the bacteria from putrefaction, yeah? Because it's one of the bacteria that it develops as soon as the life goes away from your flesh. That bacteria of putrefaction is the very first one that develops. And this herb, it has the power of stopping bacterial development, plus the essence and the things. So it's very good for inflammation. It stops inflammation. And it says that it destroys free radicals as well, you see. And it's good for eczema, for acne, for burnt cuts. But remember something. Oils, what we're going to be doing today, you cannot use it for open cuts and things like that because the oil can block and it can keep the back. It's not good for open cuts. So you will use it for when you have a scar and then you want to heal the scar. Imphepho is very good for scars as well. Many things. A lot of more than what I thought even. So we're going to go to the kitchen. Yeah, you want to block my camera for a moment? We're going to the kitchen.
Okay.
And we're going to check how we put this and throw the oil.
So while Aaron, what I also wanted to add is that Imphepho is very good at helping you deal with body odor. For those who suffer from bad body odor, Imphepho is very good in terms of helping relieve some of that, and it's a natural and an insect repellent. And yeah, as she just mentioned, it's good in terms of healing scars. But if you make it a water based, if you use water as a base, it's a good at cleaning wounds. It contains natural antibiotics and antibacterials and antibiotics. So if you steam with it, it will help you help you with your acne. And let's get back to Arantza, and she shows us she worked on the stove.
Okay. So remember, we have 30 grams here, which, just a moment, I put this still right, perfect. As you can see now, look here. I normally try to use things that, I use sticks, like these Chinese sticks for like moving my things and little things. So the oil is melted. So we're gonna put the dry herb material inside. We're gonna completely cover it. The water is boiled inside, and you must make sure that when it boils, the bubble doesn't come outside and the water goes inside the oil. Remember, oil and water doesn't go together. So sometimes when you make creams, face creams or body creams, there is these salts that you use to create the mixing of the water with the oil thinning, you see? But by itself, there is no mixing. So we're gonna put some more. As you can see, the Imphepho here, even if you buy the Imphepho in the shops here, the Helichrysum, they use the flower only, the dry flower. It's like the one that you have there. But I like to take the whole thing. The leaves are thin. I'm gonna show you now the leaves how they are. It's different. But because the leaf is smaller, it's not so easy to burn it as the Imphepho, you see.
So it's mostly flower based because we have, yeah. Because here in South Africa we have a different strains. We have the Imphepho, Helichrysum, which is mostly flower based. And as I said earlier on, that we have a video where we speak on the different species. We don't speak of all the species, but it basically gives you an idea in terms of the different species of Imphepho that you find out there.
I'm gonna try to fit everything. I'm gonna try to fit all the herbs inside here, the 30 grams, and then I'm gonna melt. I just put this thing quickly here with water and the pot, so the bottom is touching the water, that when it boils, it will make the whole pot warm, but not too hot. I'm gonna melt the shea butter, and then I'm gonna put the melt shea butter inside here.
Okay.
So this is what we do.
So as she is doing that, I just wanted to remind people again is that not all herbs can be prepared like this. If you want to find out whether a herb is heat sensitive or not, please do, you can check out the book that you just showed us, The Medicinal Herbs of South Africa. And you can also, I'll share another book just now. There's another book that I use to check whether a plant is heat sensitive or not. And you can also Google, just make sure that you Google, because some plants, they die when you...
Sorry, I'm gonna put the karité.
So the other book that I also use, which is a very good book, is called The Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. It's written by Rosemary Gladster. She has written quite a few books, and she also has a book called How to Make and Use Herbal Remedies for Home Health. And there's also the Improving Your Health by Combining Chinese Herbal Medicine and Western Medicine. What I want to implore people is that we really need to start getting into the habit of writing our own stories. As Arantza just said, is that we can read as much of the scientific books as we want, but once you get a basic idea in terms of how the process actually works, you know, really, as she said, you use your heart with a little bit of your brain there in it, and you also let your ancestors guide you through this process, you know, in terms of preparation, because some of the recipes that I know in terms of trial and error, they've come by mistake. As I was saying to Arantza, the arthritis oil that we prepared, it just came by accident, and the mistakes, and you just really document that. And we need to start publishing our own books and to provide the next generation with the point of reference told from our perspective.
Strictly, because you know what? Now, 2 nights ago, like I was doing some research. I don't know what I was reading. I was looking for something, I don't remember what, something about herbs and things. And I came across with a website that sells recipe essence smells. They sell, like, I think it's for people who is involved in making perfumes or something that is smells. It comes from the sense of the smell. And the herbs from here that are like dusty peas, which is the already like the petrified we of the dusty rock, you know? And all kind, it was like as well the Imphepho, what other herbs? It was a lot of South African herbs. I was surprised, you know, but I thought, you see, then, you know, Where's the people doing these things or taking the benefit of this?
Yeah.
This is the thing that needs to be. So that's why we each one teach one, you see?
Yes.
This is
And
a
also,
homemade remedy, but this is the purpose of medicinal and natural healing. You make it in your house. You don't need to go to the shop. Sometimes, or if you don't have the time, somebody make it for you and things like that. But very easy, like more medicinal for like really treatments. But for like the everything, the everyday life, like, you know, your moisturizing cream with the special properties. Sorry. You can yourself.
So in terms of preparing the cold methods, just to highlight to people in terms of preparing the cold method, for the measurement and preparation of the herb, you pretty much follow the same method as she did before she came to the stove. The only difference is that we don't go to the stove for the cold preparation. So you do the measurements and you prepare the oils. Obviously for the cold process, you can't use coconut oil as it is saturated oil. You can't use any saturated oil for preparing the cold when using the cold method. But pretty much it's the same process with minor changes. But she's going to show us a bit later on how to do the cold method when she's done with the hot method.
Yeah.
The cold method is the ideal method, and the hot method, it's when you need to use the herb now. Yeah. Ideally, you would want to use the sun's energy, the energy that is around you to prepare the herb, and you do not want to expose your herb to the stove. This method is purely when it is like in an emergency. It is not the most ideal method, but it can be used when you really want to use the herb right now.
So and here, sorry, Sister Nelly.
Yeah.
The shea butter is melted now. I see
yes.
This is a nice way. It works perfectly as well. So what I'm gonna do, because I put a lot of dry material, herbs here, I need to put a little bit of more oil. It gets hot, you know. So I'm gonna pour a little bit more here to make sure the whole herbs get. I'm gonna put the heater now that is boiling, and I got what I need. Okay, perfect now. So now we have this, it's full of oil, all the herbs are covered with oil. And you know what happened to me? That's something that you need to always be very aware. All my water boiled out, so it was dry. No, you must always keep an eye to always have water to boil. You see, not to get dry. Besides as well, because it can break the container, the thing that you are using. So make sure that if you use a glass or something that is, or like ceramic or something like that, it can handle heat, you know, otherwise it breaks. It's the same thing when you use storage bottles, glass bottles, and you want to sterilize by boiling them. You need to make sure they can handle the heat for the boiling. You see that they won't break.
That is very important as a safety precaution. And even even when you bottle them, you must just make sure that the bottles that you use are actually capable of doing that. And we said earlier that plastic is a no when we're dealing with oils. It's a no. You have to use glass bottles.
I'm pushing here to the maximum. I'm gonna regret later because I'm gonna waste.
I'm foreseeing you doing a bit of some balancing, a bit of yoga.
You know what happened? I should in these things professionally. You need to do it before. It's like the rehearsal, like when you do a show or artist. You do the main rehearsal. So you do it like if you are making it for the people. Then you know if you can do it. Then you know everything is in order. So this is a learning, teaching lesson, you know. So, okay, we can move to the dry. So now, everything is here. I put it to the lowest, okay? So, because we're gonna, this ideally, it stays for 2 hours, okay? 2 hours slowly, it's taking it, you know, and then make sure the water is there.
Just to remind everybody.
A shorter version just for you to see. For all of I.N.Healing to see. I'm gonna move.
Just to remind everybody, the temperature should remain just below 50 degrees. And if you can't, it should be somewhere in between 50 degrees and 75 degrees. If it goes beyond that, then you're killing your herb. You're no longer preparing it, you're killing it. Also, one thing to also remind people is that please always check if your herb can be prepared like this, because some herbs are heat sensitive and they cannot
heat
follow
sensitive, or they're not right for oil extraction. I forgot to mention that.